What is going on and what is up, Dallas Mavericks fans, MFFLs from around the world? The Dallas Mavericks are now sitting at 4-0 after beating the formerly 2-2 Chicago Bulls yesterday. A final score of 114 Dallas, 105 Chicago Bulls. Of course, the DFW Metroplex is on a high right now. Of course, the Texas Rangers just won the World Series last night. First time in franchise history. The Dallas Stars are playing well. The Dallas Cowboys are well in the mix of the NFC Conference right now. So the Dallas Mavericks just adding to that and continuing this run that we start the season on, because we've seen the Dallas Mavericks have not gotten off the 4-0 starts. I don't care whether we're playing against talent that we feel we're better than, equal to, less than, whatever it is. The Dallas Mavericks have not seen themselves sitting at 4-0 in a while up to this point. So especially in the Luka Doncic era. And again, this game was unfortunately without Kyrie Irving, so other people are still going to need to be step up for this team, knowing, because we know the kind of player Luka Doncic is. But there are some guys that have kind of stepped up a little bit. I want to talk about Derrick Jones Jr. so far in the season. Grant Williams, the acquisition from the Boston Celtics, he has played huge and major. He's paid off major dividends to this team so far early in the season. Let's get into it a little bit. The Dallas Mavericks 114, the Chicago Bulls 105. The Dallas Mavericks are now sitting at 4-0. And again, one of those teams you're kind of seeing, again, get out to a nice solid start, because we do know the Dallas Mavericks have, especially over the last few years, you kind of find ourselves in a bit of a kind of up and down trajectory on the start of the season, because we do know Jason Kidd loves to kind of rake the team and figure out pretty much our progress based on increments of the season. So it's good to see this team just get out to an early lead in this season. Again, we're talking about, because again, you're at the end of the day, you figure out you're going to be playing against teams like the Denver Nuggets, You're going to be going against teams possibly like the Clippers. You're going to be looking at teams, maybe the Phoenix Suns, those type teams. So the Dallas Mavericks have got to get themselves comfortable and in a space where everyone has that defined role. We heard guys last year talking about you weren't really sure what exactly they were being asked to do. Markieff Morris said a little bit during preseason and training camp this year. He's talking about pretty much now it just feels like guys know what their job is and what they're being asked to do. This game was not a pretty, I guess you want to say it wasn't a pretty game from Luka Doncic, what we've become accustomed to. But still, up to this point in the season, Luka Doncic is averaging 33.8 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, 9.8 assists, and 1.2 steals in 37.5 minutes. What I will say, I wasn't really happy to see Luka playing 40 minutes, because we do know he is dealing with a little bit of an injury to that calf still. And you don't want to kind of, I guess, give it too much wear and tear earlier on in the season. Look at this Derrick Jones Jr. If this kid is knocking down threes, he's going to be dangerous, because we do know his athleticism and his defensive potential. But if again, I've said many times already, Derrick Jones Jr. has just shown people he can be a consistent shooter. And I'm not talking about a guy that's going to get his own dribble shot creation or anything like that. But if you can kind of be timely with your catch up, spot and shoot threes, he's going to be a nice piece for this team as the season continues to go on. But again, get back to Luka Doncic. Yesterday, Luka Doncic had a game, again, off by his standards, going 5 of 16 from field goals, 1 of 8 from 3. He did knock down 7 of his 9 free throws. So we're talking about that's a nice development or adjustment to his game. But 18 points, he is plus 11. Again, Luka Doncic at the end of the day, whether he's knocking down his shots at the level that we're used to or not, he's always going to be able to be that threat playmaking wise. So that's just a good sighting just to see, at least, again, in a subpar game from a guy like Luka. Also, Derrick Jones Jr., I just talked about a little bit, 17 points, 5 rebounds. He did have an assist, but 7 of 13 on field goals and 3 of 9 from 3. Again, that's going to be a guy that we're going to be looking at. And talking about playing a guy like Derrick Jones Jr., 31 minutes, that's going to be good, because that's a guy that he is very versatile in what he can bring. Grant Williams, another game from him, leads the team in scoring with 25 points. 25 points, 5 rebounds, a steal, 7 of 10 on field goals, 7 of 9 from 3. That is crazy. We're talking about a guy like Grant Williams. We already know he's a talker. He's one of those guys that you're going to look into as the season continues to go on, and we're going to ask ourselves, we know that sometimes the NBA season is a long road. You're going to find yourselves in a bit of a, maybe I don't want to say a downward stretch of the season, but sometimes you're going to need one of these guys to be able to kind of, your vocal leaders, be those guys to help you pretty much get back in the mix and everybody get all the guys right mentally. But so Grant Williams throwing in 25 points for this team is is going to be something that's just going to be good to see in the long run, because one thing you're going to be asked to do, we do know Luka Doncic, and when you're basing your teams off of two major players, you're talking about a Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving whenever he's able to return. If you have a guy like Grant Williams that's comfortable in his offense, comfortable in his role, and can figure out where exactly he fits in next to these two special players, we're going to be asking ourselves, what is the Dallas Mavericks' actual true ceiling and potential for this team? Again, you don't want to get out too early, get too excited, because again, it's a long season. And also, this schedule hasn't been too rough. I mean, we don't really know what these teams are really on paper. It's all pretty much just, you're pretty much taking your own guess. But when you're looking at this game, you're going to find guys like Grant Williams. We're going to need him in the long run. So we can find ourselves in a certain space in this potential in the postseason, where you're seeing Grant Williams be able to step up because he has found that comfortable space playing next to Luka and Kyrie Irving. Look at this perfect pass. Again, pretty easy, nice dump off and a finish by Derek Lively. Let's talk about Derek Lively. 7 points, plus 15 and a plus minus. 13 total rebounds, 7 of them offensively. Derek Lively, the second, also throwing in a block and 2 steals. Derek Lively, the second, again, I could not have asked for more from a player like this. We already said, I was talking about him, again, pre-draft process. A guy like Derek Lively, he's going to be perfect because he can play that Tyson Chandler role. We're not asking you to come out here, set up your own shots. We're not asking you to come out here shooting threes. What we need is a guy that's going to be a defensive presence. And one thing that's always kind of gone through the Dwight Powell era of the Dallas Mavericks being as a starting center, one thing is it's not always about blocking shots. Sometimes it's about spacing. Sometimes it's about forcing bad shots. And with that length that Derek Lively has, we're talking about a guy with a 7'3", 7'4"? We're talking about wing reach. That's going to be a guy that you're going to be asking yourself, wingspan, You're going to be asking yourself, why am I going to be attacking the rim when you have a guy that's showing he is a weapon? Look at this. Derek Lively with the hook shot misses. Derrick Jones Jr. right there on the putback dunk. But Derek Lively, like I said, it's just so good to see him. Like I said, 7 points, 13 rebounds, 7 of them offensively, and a block and 2 steals. 6 assists. Let's not forget that. 6 assists. A guy that's just showing himself to be an all-around player. So young. We're still talking about Derek Lively is, 19 years old? This kid hasn't even gotten his NBA body yet. He has not built himself into that Tyson Chandler mold yet. But it's, again, just being able to see what he can bring to this team at such a young age. And again, as the season's going to go on, you're seeing Derek Lively play 33 minutes already. That's huge. So again, Jason Kidd is showing that he does have some trust in a guy like that. And one thing we have gotten used to, of course, unfortunately, Maxi Kleber leaves with an injury. I'm not sure if I think it's a hamstring or something like that. We know those are kind of those ticky-tack injuries that can kind of linger for a little bit. So we'll see where that goes. But just showing that Jason Kidd does have some trust in Derek Lively to throw him out there for 33 minutes. That's just big for this team going forward. Dwight Powell, nice solid. I feel like Dwight Powell, a lot of the flack that he's gotten throughout his tenure with the Dallas Mavericks is just pretty much just front office and coaching staff putting him in positions that he shouldn't be in. Dwight Powell, to me, if he's your third center, and now probably with Maxi Kleber going on the shelf for a little bit, I'm going to believe you're going to be able to see a guy like Dwight Powell probably step into that more second role. We haven't seen much out of Rashawn Holmes so far, so I'm going to assume Dwight Powell's going to be that second guy. But that's, to me, where Dwight Powell should always be. He's your second, third center. He may get you 10 to 15 minutes off the bench. An energy guy, a guy that understands the small things. Let's be clear. He understands the small technical details, but he's only physically able to do a certain amount of things. So this is just big. Also, let's go into it. Tim Hardaway Jr., 24 points off the bench, 8 for 15 and 27 minutes on field goals, 7 of 13 from 3. That, at this point, we know Tim Hardaway Jr., he's your bucket getter. He's had a nice solid start to this year. We're talking about Tim Hardaway Jr. averaging 20.3 points in 28.8 minutes. We do know Kyrie Irving also averaging 19.5, 4 rebounds, 6 assists in 35 minutes. Not having him, we're asking Tim Hardaway Jr. to be that guy that comes in there and gets us these easy buckets and pretty much can just be that barrage, the microwave barrage. Look at this. And the bucket with the foul. Tim Hardaway Jr., again, like I said, I don't think we're not underestimating what exactly he is, but Tim Hardaway Jr. is always going to be a weapon because he does have the potential to be one of those guys that can get you 30, 40 potentially on any given night. That's big in a long, long season. Like I said, just going back to Derek Lively just real quick, averaging 8.5 points, 7.8 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and a block in 23.8 minutes. Derrick Jones Jr., 11 points, 2.8 rebounds in 21 minutes. Grant Williams in 31.5 minutes, 15.5 points, 5 rebounds. This team, again, is just starting to show that we have an identity. We are a little bit more of a defensive, I guess you want to say, we're going to be a little bit more defensive than we have been over this last couple of years. Just a great sign to see. On the other side, for the Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine, 22 points, 7 of 17 on field goals, 5 of 9 from 3. Nikola Vucevic, we don't know, one of Luka's guys, 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 of 17. And DeMar DeRozan, 16 points, negative 17 and plus minus. So, again, when he happens to be on the court last night, things were not going well for them with a team. He did have 7 assists also, though. So, the Dallas Mavericks took care of business against the Chicago Bulls, now sitting at 4-0. This team is now 2-0 at home. We're going to see how this in-season tournament goes. It will be the Dallas Mavericks versus the Denver Nuggets on Friday. I'm excited to see what we're going to do. I guess just seeing in this first annual year of, I guess, the premise of whatever the in-season tournament is going to show how many of these teams take this stuff seriously. So the Dallas Mavericks, again, 4-0. Beautiful to see. The Dallas Mavericks now see themselves sitting at 4-0 once again, and we will start again. This is going to be the first year of this new in-season tournament again. Early on in the season, the first game will be Friday against the now 4-1 Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets took their first loss of the season against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Dallas Mavericks are now your de facto #1 seed in the Western Conference right now. Again, it's way too early, but we are just seeing this team win games in different ways, and also being able to win games without having your second best player, a guy like Kyrie Irving, being in the mix for a couple of these games is just big to see, because we know in the long run of this season, but especially we're talking about postseason, and hope a postseason run is what the Dallas Mavericks team is looking to accomplish. And to be able to do that, you're going to need guys to step up, whether it's a Josh Green, whether it's a Grant Williams, whether it's going to be a Derrick Jones Jr., whether it's going to continue to see a guy like Derek Lively continue to develop and progress. We've seen a mixed bag of numbers so far in this season, but I want to say, to me, it's just a great sign early on, because one thing we are getting, Derek Lively Jr., what we're doing is getting Derek Lively just these early reps and early opportunities to see lots of different players. We do know a guy like Nikola Jokic is going to be a lot to handle pretty much, because again, we're talking about a veteran that knows body position, know exactly how to get his man to where he wants him to be on the defensive end. So Nikola Jokic is going to be a tough, I guess you want to say, I don't want to say a tough matchup, but of course, obvious, he's going to be a tough matchup for a guy like Derek Lively. So it's going to be a team effort. We're going to need guys to step up and continue to play to a level that's going to help the Dallas Mavericks team just continue to build on the progress we've made. I appreciate you guys as always. The support is amazing. Go ahead and keep liking, subscribing, and for sure, comment down below. I want to know you guys' opinions, but definitely boost those likes up also. I want to see you guys' opinions. I want to see you guys, hear you guys' thoughts again, because again, this Dallas Mavericks franchise right now sees themselves in a bit of a situation where we don't know where exactly the ceiling is for this team, but it's beautiful to see that we are just starting to put some pieces together. And to me, it feels like we're forming an actual complete roster over time. Again, I feel like we still have a few things that we can work on and get better at, but at the same time, it's good to be sitting at 4-0 right now for the Dallas Mavericks so early in the season. You guys are amazing, and as always, go Mavs.